So awkward, it looks like a complete duck walk. And the crooked teeth match the beady gnome eyes that never seen a lady naked in real life. This is the reason, Augie, why even dogs can't stand you. And they got bred to like unlikable losers who can't make it in a dating scene. So even though dogs have a low bar, you somehow managed to slip right below it. Anyways, that concludes today's staff meeting. Today we will play a little game. An image look game. And it will be a lot of fun. Hooray! Shut up, Augie, you unloved budget Quasimodo. Thank you, audience. Today's game involves the ZEISS Distagon 35mm F2 ZE, a budget-friendly alternative to the ZEISS CP2 CP3 cinema glass. Very good contrast, great 3D rendering, and a sharp, clean image that makes this lens a must-have. Even for stingy bastards that cheaped out and bought a Micro Four Thirds camera, so they can waste money on film festival submissions. Yeah, I'm sure those 5 dudes in the basement will watch your short film. But is there an unlikely equivalent among native Micro Four Thirds lenses that can match this Zeiss? Let's see. This is the Olympus Pro 25mm F1.2, and we will find out if these images will be easy to differentiate. And that is the game. So let's start the testing.
I don't really like tests. It reminds me of school. Kids spread a rumor once that I ate poo.
And that made you sad.
The point is, they never knew me. It was just a lucky guess. They would have said it even if I didn't do it.
So your shit-eating grin is a literal description.
Well, technically. Don't you poo-eat shame me.
I shall poo-eat shame you, since you're a loser.
That's a good point.
Here's the first footage. It's contrasty, it's sharp. It has a nice bokeh. Is it a Zeiss or is it an Olympus? It's hard to say. And here's footage B. It's also contrasty and sharp. It has nice bokeh. Maybe that is the Zeiss. Or it is the Olympus. It's not that easy now, is it? You thought you could look down on Micro Four Thirds lenses. Not today. And here's the result. Here's another footage. By the way, the Zeiss lens is used with the Metabones XL Speedbooster. And all footage is shot on GH5S at 400 ISO. Essentially, both the Zeiss and Olympus are in the 40 to 45mm effective focal range. So how about it? Is footage D the Zeiss or the Olympus? It's not windy in this one. Or maybe Zeiss likes wind. Maybe both like wind. Or maybe you just realized now that wind is not a factor. So, do you know which one is what? One is windy and one is not. In this one, Augie will besmirch the footage with his presence. Nevertheless, is this the Zeiss or the Olympus? I should mention I slightly change the composition every time, to add a little bit more confusion. So this image has very nice skin tones, and the bokeh is also very smooth. And what about footage F? Yeah, it's also very smooth bokeh. Skin tones are rendered very well. Oh, this is a tricky one. So do you have an idea which one is what? Which is Zeiss and which is Olympus? Do you know? Well, you just guessed wrong. What about footage G? Here we can analyze the bokeh a bit more. And sharpness is excellent. Between those two, why does Augie look more like a worn-out dummy? And why is Augie less anatomically correct? Those are questions that should be answered one day. But for now, let's focus on the lenses. In image H, Augie's head looks incredibly disfigured, just like footage G. So we know that both lenses render properly. Has one more contrast than the other? It's hard to say. Hard to say indeed. Which is Zeiss? Which is Olympus? You haven't guessed anyone correct yet. Does this change the score now? Can you make up for lost points? The answer is no. You were wrong again. This is an interesting game. Primarily since Zeiss 35mm prices have gone up on eBay. A used copy is now around $800 Canadian on a lower end. A used copy of the Olympus Pro 25mm is 1,100 Canadian dollars on eBay, so they're not that far apart. Also, if you don't have a Metabones Speedbooster XL yet, there's an additional $600 you have to factor in. So all of a sudden, financially, that premium Olympus lens is looking like a good deal to some of you cheap sons of bitches. So which one is the Zeiss and which one is the Olympus? The anticipation could be cut with my razor-sharp wit. Do you know which one is it this time? Your guess once again is incorrect. Close-ups is where rendering faces separates the big boy lenses from the, other lenses. Analyze Augie's head and then realize why he has been phased out of the local dating pools. But furthermore, see if there are any differences of the image dimensions. What about bokeh fall-off? Is there a difference? So, do you think you're gonna guess correct this time? Unfortunately, you didn't. Other than those lenses looking very close, what other mechanical differences are there? The Olympus has also autofocus, which is actually very reliable. Not like the Panasonic lenses that have that dumpster fire like focus hunting. The Zeiss has a smoother manual focus turn, which is expected from a pure manual focus lens. Both lenses have the aperture set through the camera body. Once again, which is Zeiss and Olympus? Do you know? Apparently not. Could you have imagined that a dedicated photography lens from a Micro Four Thirds system can now rival an industry-best full-frame lens with an optical formula pedigree from past Hollywood movies like The Shining or Full Metal Jacket? Also, when you were a kid, dreaming of becoming an astronaut, spy, or superhero, would you have imagined that when you grew up, you would be looking at a fictional game show analyzing random trigs at 3 AM in the morning? I certainly didn't. At this point, it doesn't really matter which one is what, since your guess is always going to be off. But let's continue the charade and let me show you why you were wrong. These shots were the trickiest ones to differentiate. I would probably say that Olympus had consistently a tad more contrast, while the Zeiss had a tad more tonality. But we are splitting hairs at this point. So who's the true winner in this game? It's the consumer, since in the past when you wanted the Zeiss feel, you had to get the Zeiss lens. But now you can use an Olympus Pro lens with other Zeiss lenses in the same project and maintain a degree of aesthetics and consistency. Two lenses of very different backgrounds working interchangeable for the same goal, refined image quality. So regardless which one you choose, you will choose well. Also, either lens will sodomize your bank account. Sodomize it right in the overdraft. Now to all the people who pretended they guessed each one correct, Augie, show them what they won.
They won diddly squat.
That's correct. Diddly squat, the square root of jack shit. Not the shit that Augie eats, but the shit that doesn't exist, like the contents of Augie's front pants.